Okay, the dreaded chromatic scale. The interesting thing and weird thing about chromatic scale, especially for younger students, is that it seems really hard, but if you look at the back of your method book, it just starts on the first note of the scale and then does every single note consecutively after that, and then the same notes back down. If you're looking at your scale sheet, on the way up, it has the sharp versions of the notes, and on the way down, it has the flat versions of the notes. Knowing this scale will help you understand pretty much any of the music we're going to play in the upper bands because it kind of makes you learn all your fingerings in that scale. So we're going to go up and down, nice and slow. We're going to talk about the notes' names and also maybe why they have two names and they're same fingerings. So we start in our F, which is just one. Now the next note is the F sharp. If you look at the very end of the scale, next to the F at the end, there's a G flat. F sharp and G flat sound the same. They're basically the same note, but they have two different names. So that's called an enharmonic. So if you look at all the notes going up, it's going to be the exact same thing going down. It's just their different name. They're enharmonic. If that's confusing, don't worry about it. We're going to go over it more, but just know that it's not as scary as it looks. Now, chromatic scales sound a little different because they're using every single note going up. They're not skipping any. So let's go over all the fingerings and then we'll go over the whole scale. So I'm going to go over all the fingerings in one big swoop. So the F is 1, F sharp is 2, G is open, G sharp is going to be a 1, 2, and trigger. I'm sorry, not 1, 2, and trigger. G sharp, oh my gosh. G sharp is 2, 3, and trigger. A natural is going to be 1, 2, and trigger. A sharp is going to be 1, trigger. B is going to be 2, trigger. C is just trigger. C sharp is going to be 2, 3, trigger. D is going to be 1, 2, trigger. D sharp is going to be 1, trigger. E is going to be 2, trigger. The top F is going to be just trigger. Now we're going down. E is going to be 2, trigger. E flat is going to be 1, trigger. D is going to be 1, 2, trigger. D flat is going to be 2, 3, trigger. C is just trigger. B natural is 2, trigger. B flat is 1, trigger. A is 1, 2, trigger. A flat is 2, 3, trigger. G is open. Excuse me. G flat is 2. And the F is 1. Those are all the fingerings. I'm going to go up and down the scale nice and slow so you can hear it, and then we'll play it together. All of the notes are really close. So when you're changing your fingerings, you're only going to change your embouchure ever so slightly. So when we go up higher, slightly tighten that buzz, bring that buzz to the middle of the embouchure, but don't get crazy or you'll miss the note. So here we go, nice and slow, up and down. Finger long. So you can hear how all the notes are really close. This also has another version that's lower, and I'll go over that in just a minute. So let's play it together nice and slow. Da, da, about that slow. Ready? 1 and 2 and ready, go. So the low version, I'm going to play it, but if you want to work on the low version, you can figure out the notes yourself. They're in the back of your book, just like we went up and down that octave of the F, the high one. You would look at the low octave of the F and just write in the fingerings that way. So I'm going to play it just so you can hear it. So this is the low version of the chromatic scale, starting on the low F, which is like our B flat scale, the low version of that. And that's the chromatic scale. Not so scary. Have fun.